She begins by demonstrating happiness. Next, she displays anger. Then she shows sadness. Finally, she expresses pure joy. A woman explains that this new being can express a wide variety of emotions to facilitate communication with humans, but the class rep is too overwhelmed to process it. He asks them to start over from the beginning. Haru points out that this is the third time he has made this request. The woman clarifies that the girl was created with the original Karagaki's cells and is, in effect, the new Karagaki. The woman explains the process. Memories from Karagaki's cells were inputted into a cultivated brain with an AI core, which was then placed in an artificial body to bring her back to life. The class rep finds it hard to believe, questioning if this means she is not the real Karagaki. The woman states that while she is a new creature, she possesses the exact same memories and body structure as the original. Haru questions if having the same memories and body doesn't effectively make her Karagaki herself. The class rep can only stare, unable to respond. The class rep angrily confronts the woman, accusing her of intending this outcome from the very beginning. She seems genuinely confused by his outburst and asks if she has done something wrong. He is left completely speechless. His eyes widen in horror at the situation. He recalls a moment when a battered Haru, whose values were not aligned with humans, asked if people do not come back to life. He remembers feeling relieved when she told him Karagaki would be brought back, telling himself everything would return to normal without confirming the details. He realizes he was just trying to save himself by having Karagaki back, just as he had assumed it was better to leave Teru alone. His expression fills with terror as the memory continues. He relives the moment of Karagaki's gruesome death. The memory of his scream echoes in his mind. The brutal image of her death is burned into his memory. He snaps back to reality, startled. The new Karagaki stands before him with Haru, asking if he is all right. He reassures them that he is fine. Internally, he blames himself, believing the tragedy was his fault for offering Karagaki his umbrella. The new Karagaki looks at him with a gentle smile. He asks Haru if Karagaki's behavior seems different than before. Haru confirms that she is different, explaining she has been optimized to cause minimal trouble. The class rep expresses his concern but dismisses it. Haru believes no one in class will notice or care about the change and might even prefer this new version. She adds that there are no longer any weirdos who desire the former Karagaki. The new Karagaki waves goodbye, saying she will see them tomorrow. They watch her walk away. Feeling uneasy, the class rep calls out her name. She turns back, looking at him inquisitively. The class rep begins to apologize for what happened to Teru. Karagaki asks why he is apologizing. She states that it was his fault that Teru committed suicide. She tells him that his habit of feeling responsible for everything is a bad one. He asks her to stop consoling him as if he is a good person. Karagaki simply agrees. He changes the subject, asking her about something else. He asks about the wad of money he saw in her bag and where it came from. She explains that she was selling her body to a salaryman and lied about being pregnant to get money from him for abortion fees. The class rep realizes the rumors about the original Karagaki were true. He feels a sense of relief, remarking that she truly is a bad person. The school bell rings in a flashback. The original Karagaki sits at her desk. The class rep is also in the classroom. Another girl greets him. She seems surprised that he actually came. The girl questions his motives, noting how meek he seems and asking if he expected forgiveness for his actions. She asks if he has any idea how sad Karagaki is after he seduced someone named Mochizuki. She angrily demands that he say something. Confused by her words, the class rep asks who she is talking about. The scene reveals the original Karagaki lying injured on a wet, tiled floor. She looks up weakly, her face bruised. A group of silhouetted girls stand over her in the bathroom, having just bullied her. The class rep had been watching the entire scene from the doorway. The class rep narrates that Karagaki has been back for a few days, and contrary to his expectations, the class atmosphere has not worsened. Instead, his classmates have united to torment Karagaki. By turning a blind eye to her suffering, the rest of the class became peaceful. He bitterly reflects that the class became peaceful at Karagaki's expense. He looks down the hall with a somber expression. He notices Haru, who is watching the other humans in her class. While the class rep was walking down the school hallway, Karagaki called out to him. She asked if she could borrow his athletic shoes. Confused, he asked what had happened to her own. Karagaki simply stated that her shoes were gone. Understanding the situation, the class rep told her to take his from the shoe locker, assuring her it was okay since no one else would likely lend her theirs. Gratefully, she ran off, promising to return them as soon as class was over. Later in the gym, the class rep sat alone, wrestling with his thoughts. He questioned his confliction, reasoning that if the class was peaceful because a fake human was being bullied, it should be fine. Just then, another student called out, inviting him to join their game. He agreed and went to play. After class, he found Karagaki with Haru. She was disheveled and dirty, holding his shoes in her hands. Seeing her scraped and dirty feet, the class rep rushed over and asked what had happened. Karagaki tried to downplay it, saying she was just tripped and pushed. He pointed out that it happened during class when a teacher was present, but Haru clarified that the teacher was aware and did nothing. Karagaki just laughed it off as a daily routine. Karagaki apologized for getting his shoes dirty. When he asked why she took them off, she recounted how Mski had yelled at her for wearing the class rep's shoes. He looked at her with concern, asking if she was okay. She cheerfully insisted she was fine. The class rep looked on, his concern deepening. But her scraped knee and dirt-caked fate told a different story. He finally understood. He recalled a scene in the classroom where Karagaki was on the floor, surrounded by their classmates. The shadowy figures of the other students loomed over her, telling her to stop grinning and insulting her. In the flashback, the bullying escalated as they took her phone and made cruel remarks. As he watched, the class rep quietly told them to stop. His plea was ignored as a male student shoved Karagaki's head against a desk, warning her not to touch him. Finally reaching his limit, the class rep stood up and shouted for everyone to stop. The other students were taken aback by his outburst. He walked over to the fallen Karagaki and told her they were leaving. Mski agreed, but another girl questioned why he was helping her. Mski faced the stunned classmates. Haru observed from the side. The scene then shifted to the class rep's home, where he, Karagaki, Haru and Mski were gathered. Haru, whom Mski called Tamachi, applied synthetic skin to Karagaki's injuries, explaining it would heal overnight. Mski then confronted the class rep, asking why he would disrupt the class's peace. He admitted he couldn't just stand by and watch. Mski pressed further, asking how the class was so peaceful with Karagaki there in the first place. Haru explained that Karagaki had become the class's common enemy. By uniting to defeat her, the students could feel like friends without any guilt or strife among themselves. The class rep grimly accepted this logic, musing that it was better if only one or two people had problems. The class rep realized that after what he had done, he was now everyone's enemy as well. Haru, sensing his thoughts, told him she understood, startling him. Haru then thanked the class rep, announcing that her investigation could now be concluded. Confused, he questioned what investigation she was referring to. He had no idea what Haru was investigating there. Haru got his attention. Mski, turning to her, asked what exactly she had been investigating. Haru turned and revealed the shocking purpose of her investigation: to find the most efficient way to exterminate humans. She confirmed her mission was to exterminate humans. The class rep stood in shock, stammering as he processed Haru's statement. He asked if she was joking. Her serious expression told him otherwise. He asked for what purpose. Haru explained that her species had chosen Earth as their next home. She explained that for them to migrate, all intelligent life forms on the planet must be eliminated. She had been investigating the most efficient way to carry out this task, confirming that this was the work she had undertaken. As they walked through an empty classroom, Haru continued her explanation. She had joined the school because she believed its class system was a perfect model for learning about human society and testing various methods. The first method she tried was mass poisoning. They moved into the library, where Haru described how she began by gathering information from books. She learned that historically, frogs were eaten as food and that very poisonous frogs sometimes fall from the sky. The class rep was bewildered by this strange line of reasoning. Haru admitted both of her initial ideas were failures, as no one wanted to eat frogs and no frogs ever fell from the sky. After that, she decided to try something else. Her new plan was to instigate a war by co-opting the leader. They arrived on the school's rooftop. Haru revealed that the leader she was talking about was the class rep. She had figured that if she could win over the person in charge of leading the class, she could instigate a conflict. Initially, she thought she had failed when she only made him angry. However, she was surprised when he confessed his love for her, even after knowing she was an alien. She then realized she had one big misunderstanding about how human society worked. Haru explained that the students weren't actually being led by him. They acted based on a collective, democratic ideology, making her efforts to win him over meaningless. This made her conclude that invading Earth would not be a simple endeavor. The class rep, still trying to follow, questioned her mention of history and the general public. Haru revealed that invaders have come to Earth numerous times. She claimed they are responsible for most global disasters. The class rep found this impossible to believe, arguing it couldn't be concealed. Haru countered by asking if the exact cause of any disaster is ever truly known. She stated that humans are easily convinced and will forget as long as some conclusion is reached, even an ambiguous one. Haru agreed that humans can solve such problems. The class rep acknowledged that Earth has been threatened by invaders. She once thought this was because humans were superior beings. However, she now sees them as imperfect and in no way superior to invaders. This led her to question why invaders constantly fail, and she pointed towards the empty classroom for the answer. Haru explained her theory. Humans become strongly united when they have a common enemy, a species that thrives on making enemies. The class rep pondered this concept of growth through conflict. Haru confirmed that this is what she considers growth. She used their class as an example, explaining how they united to eliminate their enemy, thereby creating peace with their own hands. This led the class rep to ask how humans could be efficiently exterminated given this trait. Haru replied that once you understand this, the answer is simple. A shocking vision appeared of Karagaki being violently obliterated in the middle of the classroom. Haru's simple answer was to stop humans from making enemies. This would suppress their growth. The class rep realized this meant she intended to help humans, which she confirmed. She explained that those who are given peace by others take it for granted and become unable to tolerate even the slightest dissatisfaction. The class rep recalled that the class was in disarray without Karagaki and Shirasaka. Haru agreed, stating her plan was to observe and help humans until they imploded without an enemy to confront. She believed this was the most efficient way, though it might take 100 years. The class rep insisted humans weren't that stupid. Haru bluntly stated they were beyond saving. He argued that humans can help each other due to their hierarchy. Haru acknowledged her previous statement but added a grim clarification. She never said the person being helped would be saved. To her, helping others only provides the strong with a sense of superiority, and the weak can never truly be saved. Haru then posed a piercing question to the class rep, asking if the people he had helped were truly saved. The question struck a nerve, leaving him wide-eyed and shaken as he recalled the faces of those he tried to help. Overwhelmed, the class rep collapsed to his knees. Haru walked over and extended her hand to him. She called his name. Looking up at her, he proposed that they help others together. He suggested they use their own hands to help humans. They would do this until the very last one takes their final breath. The class rep was confused, asking why she would ask him to join her. Haru revealed that she is also a human. She explained that she doesn't want him to die, so she pleaded with him to join her. He still couldn't understand her reasoning. With a blush, Haru confessed it was because she likes him. The class rep fell back in shock. Mski, who had been sitting nearby, let out a small cry of surprise. The class rep confronts Haru, accusing her of lying. He reminds her that she herself admitted to approaching him with the intent to win him over. He concludes that she is using him again for some unknown purpose. Instead of arguing, Haru embraces the stunned class rep. She begins to explain that since arriving on Earth, she has encountered 3 major surprises. She lists them: humans are too fragile, and another human helped her cover up a murder. The final surprise was that she fell in love with a human. The class rep, taken aback, asks her why she fell for him. When he asks for the reason, Haru blushes and admits that the list of reasons is endless. She begins to list everything she loves about him, from his smile to his voice. She continues, mentioning his personality and height. As she speaks, she tenderly cups his face, mentioning his eyes, mouth, hands, and even his eyebrows. Haru continues her confession, explaining how the simple act of seeing his face in the morning makes her feel warm inside. She tells him that living with him has made her days more vibrant, and that there has not been a single moment she did not love him. After pouring her heart out, she asks if her reasons are sufficient. The class rep remains silent, completely overwhelmed. Noticing his reaction, she asks him what is wrong. The class rep admits his shock. He explains he never expected such ordinary words from her. He had anticipated an absurd, alien reason, but her confession was too ordinary. He realizes her reasons for liking someone are no different from anyone else's. Haru then turns the question on him, asking why he confessed to liking her. She points out that it is not what his parents want, leaving him speechless. Sensing the intimate moment, Mski stands up, feeling like a hindrance, and announces she is going home. The class rep quietly agrees. Just as Mski is about to leave, the class rep urgently calls out to her. He blurts out that Haru is trying to exterminate humanity. Haru questions if he is really just going to let Mski walk away. Mski dismisses his warning, pointing out that the extermination is planned for 100 years in the future and has nothing to do with her. The class rep is stunned by her indifference. Mski calmly confirms with Haru, whom she calls Tamachi, that their plan is merely to suppress humanity's growth. Seeing no immediate threat to herself, Mski tells Haru to proceed as Karagaki. She then bids them farewell. With a final suggestion for them to take their time, Mski leaves the room. She closes the door behind her. The class rep and Haru are left alone in the ensuing silence. The class rep turns his full attention back to Haru. With a serious expression, he asks if she will join him. Before Haru can respond, their conversation is abruptly interrupted by a piercing scream from the hallway. Both are startled by the sudden noise. The class rep instantly recognizes the voice as Karagaki's. He calls out her name as they rush towards the sound. He and Haru quickly open the door. They are met with a gruesome scene. Karagaki lies dead on the floor just outside. They stare in horror at Karagaki's body. Another girl steps into view, giggling softly. The girl, covered in blood and clutching a bloody knife, smiles and calmly announces that Karagaki is dead. The class rep and Haru are left utterly horrified. The class rep and Haru discover a gruesome scene. Karagaki lies dead on the floor just outside the apartment. Hinno, splattered with blood and holding a knife, smiles faintly. Haru turns to the horrified class rep and asks if he is okay. Karagaki's final thoughts reveal she came to protect the class rep from Hinno's influence. Hinno proudly asks the class rep if she did an awesome job. Stunned, the class rep can only utter her name before turning away. She follows him inside, suggesting that he should praise her. She explains that she wanted to remove Karagaki from the class. The class rep listens in stunned silence. Hinno concluded that the quickest way to achieve this was to kill her. She justifies her actions by mentioning a prior successful precedent. Hearing this, the class rep questions what she means by a successful precedent. Hinno reveals the precedent was Shirasaka's suicide. She admits that orchestrating it was not easy. She explains her belief that Shirasaka would die if his mother was gone. She explains that her mother and Shirasaka's mother were co-workers and that she had her mother spread rumors. Hinno states that her mother does whatever she is told. Because Shirasaka's mother was already unstable, she disappeared quickly. She had hoped for peace, but Karagaki's return complicated things. However, Hinno proudly states that she did her best to handle it. The class rep realizes his request for help with the class has been horribly misinterpreted. He remembers asking for her continued support for the betterment of the class. Hinno enthusiastically recalls her promise to do anything for him. The weight of the situation causes the class rep to vomit. Hinno asks if he is okay, not understanding his reaction. He confronts her, yelling that he never asked her to do this. He grabs her, accusing her of intentionally twisting his words and demanding an answer. Hinno tearfully asks why he is blaming her. Hinno tearfully demands to know why he is blaming her. She explains that she just wanted him to praise her. All she wanted was to be treated kindly by the person she likes. The class rep is stunned to realize she has feelings for him. He asks her why she even likes him. The class rep tells her he never had any impression that she liked him. He dismissively asks if she is just going to list vague things as her reasons. Hinno asks if he would kill for someone he liked for such reasons. He tells her that she makes him sick to his core. He asks what she is even saying, completely disgusted. Hinno explains that because he helped her, it was only natural for her to fall in love with him. Confused, the class rep asks what she is talking about. She tries to jog his memory by mentioning the class's first extracurricular activity. She sadly realizes he does not remember. Hinno notes that it is simply in his nature as class rep to help people. Hinno sadly concludes that because he is so altruistic, he would not remember one specific person he helped. Haru observes that if he sees someone in need, he helps them, as he is kind to everyone. She then asks the class rep if he even remembers his classmates' faces. The class rep thinks of his classmates as a faceless crowd. He weakly tries to protest Haru's observation. Haru explains that he does not favor anyone and that his kindness is equal to all. She begins to comment on that specific part of his personality. Hinno holds the knife to her face and declares that she really hates that aspect of him. The class rep is stunned by her sudden shift. She explains that she loves the him who is kind to her, but hates the him who is kind to everyone. Hinno clarifies that she hates the class rep who is not kind to her exclusively. She bitterly states that she really hates him for it. The class rep notices something is wrong with Haru. Haru begins breathing heavily, seemingly in distress or excitement. Overwhelmed by her emotions, Hinno stands trembling, clutching the knife tightly in her hands. In a shocking and desperate act, Hinno turns the knife on herself, stabbing her own neck. The class rep watches in horror as she collapses. He can only stare, whispering her name. He catches her as she falls into his arms. As she falls, she lets out a faint, happy giggle. Dying in his embrace, Hinno whispers that he was kind to her. With her final breaths, she tells him that she is so happy. Hinno goes limp in his arms, her life ending. The class rep is left in shock, holding her lifeless body. After the traumatic event unfolds, Haru calmly breaks the silence. She turns to the still reeling class rep and asks if they can get back on topic. Haru asks the class rep if he has decided whether he will join her in helping people together. Flustered after having cleaned himself up, he claims he cannot think straight and is unable to give her an answer right now. To deflect, he suggests they go for a walk. Haru agrees without hesitation. They leave the apartment, with Hinno's body still lying on the floor. As they walk through the quiet streets at night, the class rep is lost in thought. He recalls a memory of his younger self, eagerly showing a drawing to his father. He abruptly thanks Haru. He then asks if she has ever been thanked by her parents. She confirms they express gratitude for her work. The class rep confesses that his parents have never thanked him. He recalls a time he tried to show them a picture he drew at school. In the memory, his father, busy with work, dismisses him. His mother advises him not to bother his father. She suggests he just leave the drawing on a table for later. The next morning, his mother coldly calls him for breakfast. He then finds his precious drawing torn in half, discarded on the floor. Back in the present, he reflects on his childhood. He explains that while his parents provided for him materially, they were emotionally distant. He felt they were merely keeping him alive. He continues, revealing that his parents expected and desired nothing from him. He admits he wanted to become a son they could be proud of. Haru realizes this is why he started helping people. He had hoped that by becoming the class representative and helping others, he could become a son they could be proud of. He thought if his existence could benefit them, they would be grateful. But in the end, that gratitude never came. The class rep then turns the conversation to Haru. He reminds her that she did not understand his confession. He tells her that she was the one who set him free. He explains that after his parents died in an accident, he felt obligated to grieve for them. However, when Haru told him that was not what his parents would want, he had a realization. Her words about his grieving being pointless made him clearly realize the truth. He confesses that despite losing his parents, he was not sad in the slightest. As he speaks, they arrive at a boardwalk with a large Ferris wheel in the distance. Sitting on a bench, he thanks Haru again. She asks for the reason. He admits he simply wanted to hear someone say thank you to him. He looks down, emotional. He confesses that she is the only person who has ever thanked him, recalling the time she did so when she was injured. Haru gazes at him. A look of understanding dawns in her eyes. She then reaches for him. She gently leans in and kisses him on the cheek, a tender gesture that catches him by surprise. After a moment, Haru quietly thanks him. The class rep, confused by her words, asks what for. With the towering Ferris wheel as their backdrop, Haru gives her profound answer, thanking him for being born. From a vantage point in space, the Earth hangs like a jewel in the darkness. A young man looks out at the planet, completely in awe of the sight. Standing inside the vessel, the class rep asks Haru if Earth was always this blue. Haru confirms that it is indeed very blue. She quietly contemplates the stars and the humans living on the planet below. Looking out at the Earth, Haru suggests that they should help the people there together. The class rep, still taking everything in, finally remarks that she really is an alien. Haru asks if he still harbored some doubts. She plainly states that she is, in fact, an alien. She describes herself as an oddball alien who fell in love with a human. Flustered, the class rep asks what her species is called. Haru considers his question for a moment. Haru explains that her species' name cannot be pronounced with a human tongue. She suggests he can just refer to them as Earthlings, a name he finds fitting. He then asks if all her people will move to Earth if humans are wiped out. She replies that not all of them will. She explains that when the Earthling population on one planet reaches saturation, they divide and spread to new planets. By doing so, their numbers continue to increase. Hearing this, the class rep asks which planet the Earthlings actually live on. Haru reveals they live on a myriad of planets across the universe. The class rep finds the scale of it immense, and Haru admits she also has a hard time comprehending it. She explains that their form and language change from generation to generation. For her generation, Earth was their 8th destination. Haru states that species will continue to multiply by instinct unless someone intentionally manipulates them. She says there is no need to understand or worry about some fluctuations. The class rep repeats the word fluctuations, pondering its meaning. She then reveals the chilling nature of their plan. They will intentionally reduce the number of humans. They will let humans enjoy a peace as tepid as lukewarm water. This peace will be so profound that they will lose their interest in the prosperity of their species. The class rep quietly agrees. The class rep calls it a daunting plan that could take hundreds or even thousands of years of observation. Haru adds that the more foolish humans are, the quicker it will be, and in that case she hopes they are the stupidest beings. Haru dismisses his limited lifespan as a non-issue, revealing she has no intention of letting him continue living as an imperfect human being. The class rep is left confused by her statement. With a calm, almost smiling expression, Haru points a strange device at him. The class rep looks back at her, his expression a mixture of shock and confusion. The device fires, and in a violent burst, the class rep's human form is completely obliterated. In the aftermath, Haru stands alone in the silent, empty corridor of the spaceship. Suddenly, Haru's expression changes to one of shock, and she begins to cry. She sobs while looking out at the Earth. A moment later, a hand gently takes hers, offering comfort and telling her that it is okay. The hand belongs to a small, infant-like being who addresses Haru as class rep. The being, who is the transformed class rep, tells her that she no longer needs that title, as she will become the cornerstone of the next generation. He adds that now that she is a semi-permanent being, her old human name is no longer appropriate. Haru listens, taking in this revelation. He gives her a small keepsake. Haru's expression shifts from shock to understanding. Her face softens into a gentle, knowing smile. She holds the keepsake close. She turns and quietly thanks him. Looking upon his new form, Haru gives him a new name, Noah. From their observation post, Noah and Haru watched over Earth. Countless invaders had once come, but they were all eliminated. This ushered in an era of peace for the old Earthlings, a peace they didn't realize was given to them, which led to the stagnation of their civilization. It is often said that stagnation is decline, and the humans were content to live without making any progress. From her perspective, they were foolish creatures, slowly killing themselves. Among them, a rare few accumulated knowledge and skills in preparation for a crisis. However, this minority was treated with disdain, and those who aspired to improve were ridiculed as fools. Eventually, over a trivial matter, the humans started a war. The peace-addled humans were incapable of resolving the conflict, and after one country launched nuclear weapons, others followed, wiping out half the population. Dust from the explosions blocked out the sun, causing the surface to freeze. With no means to survive the radioactive atmosphere, humanity went extinct. Hundreds of years after humanity's extinction, once the radiation dissipated, aliens began to immigrate to Earth. They adapted to the civilization left behind by humans, changing their own form and culture. This new species came to be known as the New Earthlings. In a classroom, a teacher throws an eraser at a sleeping student, telling Hinno to answer. Waking with a start, Hinno mutters in pain as his classmates laugh. The teacher scolds him for falling asleep. Hinno stands up, insisting he wasn't sleeping. The teacher, unconvinced, tells him to hurry up and answer the question. Hinno struggles to respond, unable to come up with an answer. Suddenly, he senses someone trying to get his attention. He turns to see his classmate quietly showing him her notebook, where she has written an answer for him. Reading from the notebook, Hinno confidently answers with 8x. The teacher remarks on the strange name for a species. He then smacks Hinno again, reminding him that this is history class. After school, Hinno tells Mafu that he shouldn't have trusted her, but she playfully retorts that it's his own fault for sleeping. Hinno starts to say something about her but trails off. Mafu turns and asks what he was going to say. Hinno dismisses it as nothing. Mafu, however, grows serious. She tells Hinno that she has something important to say. Mafu reveals that she is moving. She explains it's due to her parents' work, though Hinno finds it very sudden. Stunned, Hinno asks where she's going and if it's far. He then wonders if she is messing with him again. He desperately asks if she's joking. Mafu looks up and sincerely thanks him. She thanks him for crying for her, and he realizes with a start that he is, in fact, crying. After composing himself, Hinno looks at her with resolve. He calls out her name. Mafu turns to face him and asks what it is. With a serious expression, Hinno confesses that he likes her. Mafu reciprocates, telling him she has always been in love with him. She then asks if he is sure she's the one he wants, and he immediately confirms that he is. As Hinno watches her, Mafu begins to reveal something about herself. Her smile turns unsettling. Hinno's eye widens in shock. He witnesses a flash of something otherworldly and terrifying.